Thank you so much. It is now my honor to introduce Representative Higgins, who represents Buffalo, New York.
Thank you very much, Jamal. The hour's getting late. We have votes. We also have Jamie Raskin here with us, and pleased to have him. Jamie was on the floor 15 minutes ago talking about this very issue and the issue of hate. I want to bring up Zeneta Everhart, Dominique Douglas, Pam Young, and Michelle Spite, because this is really why we're here. Let's do something constructive here today and stop calling this the great replacement theory. It's not great. It's evil. It's born out of ignorance. We need to call this the great renewal therapy. When tragedies like this get the nation's attention about what needs to happen right here under this man's leadership as it relates to calling out hate, white supremacy, and racism. That's what this is. If these creeps that refer to this theory, which isn't a theory, or at least to be credible, it's a theory that has to be proven. And the opposite is true in America, and I'll tell you why. If it were true, this whole area would be empty. None of you would be here, including me. Whether it was the 1850s with the Know Nothing Party, they just weren't in Boston. They were in Buffalo and Baton Rouge and everywhere else. They hated the outsiders. They hated Catholics. They hated Jews. They hated the Irish. They hated the Italians. They hated anybody that was different. Anybody that was different. It was used again in the 1928 presidential campaign when the first major party nominated an Irish Catholic. His ethnicity, his religion was used against him. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all of us, men and women, are created equal and are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among them is life, liberty, and not the promise of happiness, but the unfettered pursuit of it. But more importantly, what wasn't included in those words, if those words don't mean everybody, they mean nothing to anybody. Zeneta Everhart, she's been here for 2 days. She's a friend. She's the Chief Inclusion and Diversity Officer for my friend, State Senator Tim Kennedy from New York. As I said before, Zeneta's stories and all of these stories, they have a tragic dimension to it. But there's also a magic to it as well. Because as I've said before, it's said that we suffer our way to wisdom. To live is to suffer, to endure the suffering is to give meaning to the suffering. The only way that we honor those who were affected the most is by doing the right thing right behind us. Zeneta Everhart.
Thank you, Congressman Higgins. I'm going to be very quick because I am from Buffalo and this heat is insane, okay? My son, my son Zaire Goodman, as you all know, I'm sure, was injured in the Tops shooting. He was an employee at Tops. And I've done a lot of interviews over the last couple of weeks, a lot. And the one thing people keep asking me is, how do you remain so strong? How do you remain so strong throughout all of this? And what I tell people is that I am drawing my strength from Zaire. The day that he was shot, and when I was finally allowed into the hospital room to see him, the first thing he said to me was, "I knew you'd be a mess, Mom, but I knew I'd be fine." With a hole in his neck and his back, he knew he'd be fine. And yes, I was a mess. And so I stand here before you as a fixer. The great replacement theory, there's a very easy fix for this. And it's one of the other things that I've been saying throughout this process. Education. If we are telling the truth about what the colonizers did in this country from the very beginning, we would not have the Great Replacement Theory. It wouldn't be a thing. We have to tell the truth about slavery and what this country did to my ancestors. And that's all I have to say.